right. So going into it, understanding that everybody has a story, understanding that we all have different paths and journeys in life. What route do you think that the route that you took in terms of the way that you're moving and what you're doing with your organization and everything that you're trying to accomplish in this community, is this the path to success that you always wanted for yourself?
Yeah. When I was in college, like I had this dream that I was going to start a school, and I really thought that I was going to go overseas and do it. Like being in a culture that was like different than mine just really fascinated me. So yeah, that was kind of like in the back of my mind, like the ultimate goal for my career. I mean, I knew I was going to become a teacher and pursue education. I was like, I really want to start this school, you know. And then I moved to Charlotte, and it's kind of like the world has come here. So I kind of lost that dream of like going overseas because I was like, I just love being in Charlotte. I love the diversity, especially that the East Side brings. I love the diversity that I had at East Mech. So when I started Lead Charlotte, and we started pursuing this idea of like, well, maybe we could turn Lead Charlotte into something bigger. It was kind of like my dream had come full circle. But obviously had it also adjusted along the way as my perspective has kept kind of adjusted. But yeah, I would say this really has kind of been the trajectory I've been on for the last 15 years of my life. So, for sure.
That's a vision. That's crazy. And, right, Juwan, so when it came down to it, because I remember when we was in high school, I don't even know if you remember this, but we used to be, it was funny because we always used to be, trail at like the same time at certain points. And it used to always be about like, we used to always somehow get on the topic of our future and whatnot. And like, we used to always get on the topic of your future because it was always like, you kind of knew that you always knew you wanted to be successful, but it was always on the route of, I'm going to be successful in something, I'm going to start a business. And it was like, y'all don't need to really ask too much about it. Did you always see yourself going down this route? Did you always see yourself like, this is what you was going to do? Marketing, being that type of person to manage all these accounts, to be in this position at your age?
Not really. I think back in elementary school, middle school, I kind of wanted to be like a SWAT. I wanted to join a SWAT team, but I also wanted to be.
You about to bang somebody though?
Yeah. Also wanted to do special forces for the Navy.
Yeah.
High school, freshman year is when I kind of wanted. I kind of didn't want to work for anybody. I kind of want to be top dog. That's how my whole life is. I just want to be on top of everything. When I got into business, well, actually before business, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Because even Janice know, I used to tell them like, oh, business, I used to want to be a real estate agent, scientist, stuff like that. But when I got into business, it's kind of the same thing. It was as like, what type of business do I want to do? CEO was, I knew I wanted to be a CEO in high school, but I didn't know what I wanted to be a CEO of. It kind of, 11th grade came and it kind of dawned on me as like sales. That's what I'm good at. I'm good at persuading. I'm good at computers, tech, and that's where it kind of led me down that road of just being on a computer and just watching YouTube. YouTube kind of brought the level of knowledge I have up for business. So that's how I got into business. That's how I did for me.
It's funny you actually mentioned that because I was thinking about, so I texted you like the Sunday after Thanksgiving, right? I texted this man and I was like, oh, how was your break? And he gave me a very unexpected response. You said, I spent the break reading. And I was thinking, okay, how many 20, 21-year-old guys would have said, oh, I spent my Thanksgiving break reading? And when I think about like success, and I think about you two in particular, if success was easy to achieve, it would be commonplace, but it's not. You don't see a lot of actually successful people. So it leads you to ask yourself that question, okay, well, what sets successful people apart? What choices did they make that other people don't make? So I actually wanted to A, ask you, what were you reading? And B, kind of like talk about, like for you, how knowledge has been empowering and how knowledge has kind of been your catalyst for success. So yeah, just talk about that a little bit.
So I was reading two things. One was Susie Orman. She basically like help people, guide them to save money. She give you different ways to make money. You know. Other thing I was reading was I reread this book named Terrell. It was about a homeless kid in New York who kind of, him and his mother wasn't on the same page, but he had a younger brother, and he wanted to stay there with them, but then they couldn't pay the rent, so they got evicted. When eviction came, I guess the program that they were in got overcrowded, so they sent them to a motel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he started. His dad was in jail, and he went to jail because he was DJing, and I guess he followed the footsteps. And I guess after all of the police raids, the homelessness, he kind of just like went on his own, moved to a different state. And I like the book because it's kind of like a community book.
Hmm.
It kind of resembles just pain, because he had depression, and it's kind of like he was in hard times, but he didn't know how to get out of it. But he had to be patient about it, and he had to know which road he's going to take. If he's going to take a legal road, or he's going to take the path of his own.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I kind of like that book. I'm also going to read another book. I just don't know what it is soon, but I know I want it to be a scientific novel.
Okay.
Along that line.
Yeah. Wow.
No, I'll be reading Dr. Seuss.
Oh,
Charlie
man.
Brown Christmas. Stuff like that.
So Tyler, tell me about the way you dress. I get this a lot, particularly from those who are younger than you. They're like, what's up with the way that Tyler dresses? And I know that you don't care about your appearance like that. Like, you're not trying to show off. But I also know that for you, the way that you're dressed is connected to your mindset. So tell us a little bit about, clearly you're here, got the vest, got the turtleneck on, looking very classy, very classy. But yeah, tell us about how, for you, the way you dress is actually connected to your mindset.
Well, I remember back in high school, I started dressing particularly like this because when I was younger, I used to always think that my mom dressed me like my granddad. And I was like, you dressed me like an old man. And I was always into fashion. I was always into design. A lot of people don't know that about me, but I love the arts. Like, when I say I'm an artist, it encompasses all the arts, not just movies, not just acting, not just directing, but just art in general. And I think everything has an artistry to it. And finding your own art is very important, especially at a young age, going into high school where everybody's trying to figure it out. Going into high school, there was an older gentleman. He got on this one kid, and because it was sagging, right? And he said, spell sagging backwards, of course, without the G, right? If you spell sagging backwards, we're not gonna say what it says, but it's the N word.
I never thought of that. I'll be honest, I've never thought of that.
If you spell sagging backwards, it spells the N word. So going into that, I was always saying that you are supposed to present yourself in a way that you want others to see you, not caring what others see you as, but the pride in the way you dress,
mm-hmm.
that your room is clean, that your car is clean. Like, cleanliness and organization shows that you care in and of itself, right? And the way that I dress, I always knew when we was in high school, especially like going into the fact that we were the first cohort, I already knew that our perception was going to be that we were the kids that Mr. Janice was taking and trying to make them into better men because they're terrible kids right now.
Mm-hmm.
They got some potential, but not enough for maybe the other teachers to really see it and try to pull it out of them. And I don't like being judged by anything other than my content and my character. My character shapes my destiny, not anything else. That's my character.
Mm-hmm.
So with me being in that character, I know if I was going to be in that limelight, if I was going to be on that type of stage, then I should present myself that way. I saved up my money, and I just said that instead of buying ripped jeans or distressed jeans, I know that I'm going to have to go to business meetings. Can't go to a business meeting. If you ever seen The Pursuit of Happiness, Will Smith showed up to the business meeting in trash clothes, and he almost missed the opportunity. So I was like, I got to make sure that I'm prepared.
Mm-hmm.
It's really dressing nice was making sure I'm prepared. Wild Wednesdays, I'm prepared. Coming to school at the football season, I had to be prepared for that level. I had to be prepared because even though I don't judge myself, I don't judge anybody else, I will be judged.
Mm-hmm.
And you won't judge me off of the way that I look. You're gonna judge me off of my character. That was how the dressing came in style, and to influence them because, like, you know, in high school, being cool is what everybody else do, right? Miss James know I was the type of dude, like, yeah, I'd be cool with everybody, but I walked alone. It did not matter. I walked alone. I walked into that classroom alone. I walked with a teacher alone. I walked into the theater department alone. I walked alone, and I made sure I represent everything I was a part of the best of my ability, because at the end of the day, I know I'm not gonna see these guys like that, and they're at a level where they're so focused on the it thing, the trend, everything else that's happening in their life, and they're really pawns. They don't understand it. They think that they're individuals, but they're puppets.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I'm going to dress like this, it's going to be off my own free will. I'm not going to be anybody's puppet. And whoever says something about it later down the line when they get older, they're going to be like, dang, the way he dressed was cool. And it wasn't about the way he dressed, it was about the way he presented himself. Because you could dress the nicest, the flyest, whatever it is, but you got to walk with it. You got to walk with it. You got to embody it, right? You got to let your actions speak louder than whatever you dress in, and that's my main focus.
Yeah.
That's really it. Sorry that took a long time, but yeah, that's why I dress like this.
Well, you look nice.
Thank you.
So, I want to kind of go off that though. I think people would push back on what you were saying a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that they would push back in that, you know, there's a lot of talk about systems, right? Especially recently, there's been a lot of talk about systems and whether there are systems in the United States that are oppressive and things like that. And I think this idea of having to like present yourself in a certain way in order to be successful or to be received in a successful circle there's been pushback against that. So maybe not just talking about clothing, but I just want to, like, now that y'all are out in the world, having been graduated for several years, kind of exploring what it means to be successful, especially as young men. How have you kind of run into this idea of of systems and needing to play the game? I guess we could use that phrase in order to be successful. If that kind of makes sense, what I'm trying to ask.
You want to go out there first?
Well, I know a lot of people want to follow the same route as everyone.
Like that 4-year college kind of route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having a system and playing the game, it's kind of like you're planning your life out. Just following everybody's path. It's kind of like just you not being yourself. With like you said, the dressing. I kind of don't. I know back in high school, everybody was on Air Jordan, Jesus. I kind of don't really care about that because at the end of the day, they're just shoes.
Yeah.
They're just expensive shoes. I play the game different. I play it dirty. When you're a lot of times when you're in business, a lot of your boss and CEO, they play a dirty game too. But I don't want to play that game towards people under me. I want to play it towards people over me. I want them to see what it feels like to be under them. So like, I kind of play the game where, for example, if a boss take from an employee, I'm gonna take from the boss. That's how it kind of is. I don't like following other people. 4-year college, I was in college, I didn't enjoy it. I got out of college and I'm much happier now. College, in high school, teachers tell you all the time, you should go to college, college is gonna make you successful. It's a lot of people who didn't go to college that made it. But at the same time, it's a lot of people in college that actually doing really good. With the college thing, if you don't know what you want to do, I would say don't go to college. Don't follow other people's paths. But if you know what you want to do in college, go ahead. I think you should do it.
So you're just saying kind of like you got to personalize it, is what you're saying?
I don't want to plan everything because now when you plan your whole life and then nothing goes right, you kind of feel sad about yourself. It puts you down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
My man said he Robin Hood.
I was like, okay. I don't know if you want to go public with that. You know what I mean?
X that out. Don't
Right.
But
now you've been in college now. I mean, you're still in college, but this is year 3? Is this year 3 or the end of year 2?
This is
Is your third?
You're 2.5.
Yeah, okay, we'll go with that. All right.
You're 2.5, but yeah, I mean, I love it. And to stay on your question, even go piggyback on the way that I dress, like I agree with Juwan in the most wholehearted sense of is that I do that because I was in those shoes to where I like those Jordans, I like that, I like this, I like that. I found out that I said, you wanna know what? These shoes, I'm getting upset because somebody scuffed my dang shoes and they cost all this money. I'm getting upset because I go out and now the shoe's dirty. And all that goes back to being a minimalist. Right? I don't think a lot of people understand like how I perceive happiness. And how I perceive happiness is being fine with what you have and understanding that you're getting everything that you need. And that's the blessing in it, and everything else is extra.
That's that word contentment, I think.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about happiness, but really we want to shift that spectrum over toward that word contentment.
Even contentment, and like people don't understand. They be like, they want the exciting things, they want the flashy this, the flashy that. But I'm like, the best relationships you'll ever have are boring to a lot of people. This conversation to a lot of people might be boring.
Yeah.
We're not talking about nothing crazy. We're talking about real life stuff right now. You know, us having our conversation, they might be like, bro, that's boring. You know, they want to go on the game and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, if you happy with it, why you care about what anybody else got to say about it? Like those Jordans cost $300 something, but you still going through stuff. Like you going through stuff at home. Like you can't mask the pain that you got inside with all these material possessions. And they might be like, what are you talking about? You got all this fancy clothes on. Nothing that I'm wearing right now, if you take it off as a single piece, costs more than $30. I promise you that. Nothing on my body right now costs more than $30. This watch right here costs $20.
Here we go.
This turtleneck right here costs $15. These pants right here cost $25. I got these shoes from Burlington.
Shout out to Burlington.
That's what I'm saying, right? So when we talk about playing the game, man, I play the game of what makes me happy. I play the game of the fact that, okay, dang, being an artist, it is a tough road. If you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know the business side of it, if you don't know that if you go to an extended period of college for this, now you have a degree, which you can be a behind the scenes person, which is a more stable job. Like you can work for an actual network, being a cameraman and things of that nature. Even for acting, you go to school for, you might not be Denzel Washington, you might not be Chadwick Boseman, you might not be Leonardo DiCaprio, but you can be a teacher at a university if you get a certain level of standard of degree. And does that not make you happy? You're gonna be happy because you get all the accolades? What is that? I went for my purpose. My purpose was never to act. My purpose was because I wanted to make somebody smile and help somebody get through their pain, get through their tragedies, and that was embodied in the fact of acting, and the fact of being an artist, and the fact of making somebody smile, and the fact of somebody coming up to me after a show talking about how they was going through a rough time and saying that they really needed this performance. You know, doing somebody's wedding photos and they love it. You know, recording something like this and bringing meaning to somebody else. That's what that means to me. That's real success. Because a man that dies with it all and gave nothing to the world lived a life worth nothing.
Yeah.
It's meaningless.
Yeah.
You know? So that's what I think on my path to success in playing the game. Because if I get to where I want to be and I sold my morals and my values, I'm not successful. I didn't make that path to success. If we get to where we want to, where we technically want to be, or where people see that it's a high achievement, but we sold our morals and our values, like we could have took this route and it might have taken longer, but we sold ourselves. We're property now. We're slaves to our wages.
It's the rat race, you know, we use that phrase a lot, the rat race. And when I think about systems, you know, I feel like this question of money versus happiness is really what that comes down to. You know, because I look at a lot of my peers and even people who are a generation older than me, you know, it's not just a question I think that young people wrestle with. It's a question that I think anybody, especially in America, wrestles with for their whole life, you know, because there's this immense pressure. I mean, I can't deny that even I feel it, you know. I've started my own business essentially, you know, you feel this pressure of like, somehow I need to achieve this level of monetary gain or this level of exposure or this. And I forget who was talking to me recently, but I was kind of expressing some frustration over just some organizational things, and they reminded me, they were like, you know, you're making a huge difference in the lives of the 31 guys who are in your program, and every day I should go to bed and I should remember that before I think about, oh, you know, maybe we could be a little bit farther ahead here or a little bit farther ahead there, because ultimately that stuff, it doesn't really matter. You know, it's really the human connection, I think, that matters, and as you guys said, like the happiness factor. But I think for so many people, they can't get over that hump. They really can't. I mean, you look at their lives and you realize they've spent their entire life pursuing money because they thought that the money would bring them happiness, and it has never, you know. And now they're 20, 30, 40 years into a career, and it's too late. You know, there's no going back now. They're just going to stick it out. So that's tough.
And progressing as like a person, though, and Juwan, you can get into this too, but I think progressing as a person is so much more important because at each stage, if you rush the stage, like everybody I've ever seen rush the stage, they get depressed, they get anxiety, they get those feelings because they wasn't ready. And now you get into that stage and you wasn't ready, and now you depressed and you want to wind back and be like, you want to take it back a step. It's too late. You're already at that step. You got to keep on going now. You got to be patient. Went out to Atlanta. Nothing happened for my acting career. Was patient. We did this Loverboy thing. Thank God, got a movie coming out in 2022. We was patient. You know what I'm saying? We might have wanted to quit, but we kept on going. We kept on doing it. Ali was there with it too, man. Shout out to Ali behind the camera, Brandon and Antonio. We were talking to all the guys, but we was patient. And you can't look at your life and say, I'm not where I want to be because of where somebody else is at. And that's the problem with this internet age. Because you're seeing everybody get the success. Oh my goodness, they the first to ever be at 16. That's fine. Even in the Bible, you know, I don't know about, I can't say if you're religious or not, but even in the Bible, there were certain people that got to certain places at different ages. But at the same time, that was the purpose for their life.
Yeah.
You got to go for the purpose for your life. No, your purpose might not be the most famous person to ever be on this planet, but your purpose was to, you know, give back to the community, and you became an agent of change, and now you sparked the brain that sparked the brain that sparked the brain, because as a collective, we are everything. As individuals, we are nobody. And you sparked the brain to change the world.
Yeah.
You did that. That means more. That's why your name will live on. Who wants their name to live on for being known for treachery, treason, disrespect, and abundance of hurt upon people, taking people's money? Like who wants to be known for that?
Yeah.
That's what I think. It's like that's that real path to success, is what you impact on other people, and you've been impacting our lives being in that program, you know. And our success is connected to your success, and your success is connected to our success. And no matter what anybody says, as long as you're making your change and we're doing what we're supposed to do, because you're going to be taken care of. Best believe you're going to be taken care of. Like, we're all going to be taken care of, just because as a family, as like a brotherhood, we did it for each other.
Yeah, like, I know back in high school, I used to tell you about all these different money-making things I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you how much I'm going to make.
Juwan was about his bag, that is for sure.
Keep
He
me
was
the
about
bread.
his bag.
So, like, what Tyler said, being patient, like, I started online work when I was 13.
Yeah.
I didn't make my first $100 till I was 18 years old. That's a long stretch.
Yeah.
It took me over 5 years to actually get $100. And just looking at that, I started getting more and more of it. And it was like, okay, now I can buy this for myself, that for myself. I was buying stuff, but I would forget about it. Then I started donating to charities. And when you donate to charities, when you're giving your money for a good cause, it kind of makes you more happier, because it's like, okay, I can change this person's life. Just like when we used to go to Raymond Road, during, I think it was Christmas time, we filled the little boxes up.
For Operation Christmas
Just doing
time,
that, it's just like, it's going to be a happy feeling when that kid opened the box and he got gifts.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard for a kid on Christmas not getting nothing, because it's like, okay, is Santa, you know, is he coming to my house? Is he, and was I a bad egg?
About to get some cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reindeer can't land on his roof today.
It's like I had to being patient is the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Especially when you want something and you can't get it right there. It's just like Elon Musk. Like, I want to be as big as Elon Musk, but it's not my time.
Yeah.
I'm still learning, but it's not my time. I can see everybody. I see people younger than me, like a lot of celebrity and stuff, it's like, okay, they have more money than I do, but that was their time. It's not my time.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as I be patient, I could be the first ever trillionaire.
Yeah.
But I just gotta be patient about it.
Mm-hmm. That jealousy trap is so easy to
Yeah.
fall into, though, especially with social media.
Yeah.
Like I find, I mean, I have an Instagram. I don't have anything else. I have an Instagram, and I don't really follow a lot of people, and I don't post myself. But even me, I find it so easy to just get jealous. I mean, just straight up, I mean, you see,
Seven deadly sins.
Yeah, I mean, you see people, you see people happily married, and I'm still single, or they're taking a vacation to, who knows where, and I'm not able to travel right now, or, they have this or they have that, and it's, you tell yourself, oh, I'm not going to fall into that trap, but then it's just so easy while you're scrolling to kind of get into that trap, and you start to doubt yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
when we was hiking, I was telling you how on Instagram and YouTube, couples have these things on camera,
Yeah.
where it's like they're the happiest, and people go and be like, oh, I want what they have, I want to have the much money as they have, but off camera, it could be the worst
Mhm.
thing ever.
Mhm.
A lot of relationships that you see on YouTube are just for money. They're making money. That if they stop, they break up, it splits their money.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with like younger generations seeing all these rappers with cars and stuff. You gotta realize, not bashing rappers, but some of them cars are rented.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even ownership to them, just like the houses. Like the condos, them condos may cost like $2,000, they barely getting by.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, with jealousy bring kind of like hate and power.
Yeah, it does.
A kid see a pair of shoes, he can't get he can't do nothing about it, get them, so he do something illegal and bad to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Jealousy is probably the most top evil in this world, and it can reel people in very quickly, just
Mhm.
like being under pressure by peers.
And I feel like social media has created a jealous world.
Yeah.
Really, And it's funny because I was reading today.
Give me the boring. Like,
Yeah, I was reading today. Multiple cities in the United States have hit record homicides this year.
Yeah.
Like never before have they seen this number of homicides. It was actually it was on CNN, and they were talking about cities all over America, but they interviewed the mayor of Fayetteville actually, which has also hit a record this year for homicides, and she made the direct connection between social media and this violence that we're seeing, and she. She didn't lay it entirely at the blame of these companies, but I think they opened Pandora's box, and no one has been able to figure out how to put the genie back in the bottle now. Because I think the way that it's changed the way that we view each other. We view each other as competitors now rather than as community members. Which is sad.
That's why it takes, organizations, the one you started, of course. It takes people. It takes those type of people that are agents to change. Like NAACP, and I talked to them a whole bunch of times before. I said, just because this isn't your era, doesn't mean that you haven't sparked that change, sparked that brain. Everybody takes their time to get right and prepare. Like, yeah, stuff's going bad right now, but just like everything, the change starts. You know what I'm saying? Once you make progress, it's like you do something bad, right? We see that immediately. You do something good, that good doesn't get seen until later down the line.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to just be, you gotta trust the new generation, and you gotta trust that just like the old generation had bad people, we got bad people. But just as the old generation had good people, we have good people as well. And you gotta give people time, and you have to give them the tutelage to counteract that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because we see all this bad and jealousy on social media. What can counteract that?
Yeah.
The Instagram that we have right now for the nonprofit, right?
Mm-hmm.
What can we counteract that? Me not posting what I got, but posting what we're doing. Look, y'all, we over here giving back. And some people take that and flip it to negative. That is what people do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, man, why they gotta show that they giving back? Well, why people gotta show that people are killing people? You know what I'm saying? Why people gotta show somebody smack somebody in the head? Crazy stuff like that. But I would ask y'all, like, what is the last thing that y'all want to leave to whoever watches this? Like, if there was a way that you would say the healthiest way to, in terms of your life, what would you give that advice? What is the advice that you would give on somebody's path to success to help them out on their journey?
I think for me, it's two things. I think it's patience and humility. So bouncing off of what Jamal was saying, it's so easy to. Actually, I'm back it up. So the word discipline, right? It's the last letter in the word lead, which is really cool. But discipline, I saw this on Instagram actually. It was like a definition for discipline, and it said, discipline is like knowing what you really want when what you want tries to get in the way. I think that's where that patience aspect comes in, is because you have these temporal pleasures, these short-term gains, and we get so focused on that, and you lose sight of the long-term goals. And especially for young people, I think that's so easy, you know? Like, oh, I want a nice car, or I want the nice clothes, or I want to take the nice trip, and not realizing like those, you made sacrifices to get those, but what you really sacrificed was the long-term gain, if that kind of makes sense. So, to me, if you want to be successful, you got to learn how to say no to yourself. You got to learn how to be patient. And then the second thing is humility. After being a professional for 12, 13 years now, I've realized I don't know everything, and I probably will never know everything. And that includes knowing about myself. So I think that in order to be successful, truly successful, you have to have a teachable mindset. You have to have an open heart to receiving like direction that might take you in a place that you didn't think that you were going to go. And that can be really hard. It's so easy to be like, you know, someone tells you something and you're like, nah, like I know what I want and I'm going to go for it. That word might have actually been the truth that you needed to hear to take you to great heights, but you ignored it because you had a closed mindset, because you're like, nah, I know exactly what I'm doing in my life. And the answer is actually you probably don't. I think the older I get, the more I realize I probably know myself like less than a lot of other people know me, because they see me from the outside and I see myself with those rose-colored glasses, you know? So patience, humility, that's what I would say.
For me, it will have the biggest word that means a lot to me will be sacrifice. There's not a time, if you want to be in a position with a CEO, if you want to be in a position with a top dog in your company, you're gonna have to sacrifice something. It could be sacrificing time, it could be sacrificing fun. For example, if you're at a party or something, well, if you get asked to go to a party, the 2 hours that you're at a party could be a time you're learning a new skill. That skill could get you so successful that the bank is calling you saying you have too much money. But it's like the time where you're in the game. Now, I'm not saying to cut off all the fun, all of your life, but you don't. There's people out here playing the game for 9 hours.
It's true.
No job, not helping out at the house. I mean, you know, get up and clean or something. Read a book. But it's like, if you don't sacrifice nothing, you won't never see true pain. Pain is a big thing too. That's another word I want. On a journey, you will go through so much pain, it's not even funny. It's this pain after pain, this failure after failure. You have to go through some type of pain or failure to understand. And like I said, sacrifice and pain are the 2 words that I want to leave people with.
There we go. Yeah, how about you, sir?
I mean, me, I would just say, you know, as serious as I possibly can, stay away from the 7 deadly sins, like wrath, gluttony, you know, all those things that bring you nothing but torture, you know, envy, jealous, bro, come on. If you stay away from those things, lust, if you stay away from those things, stay away from those temptations, you'll be okay, because at the end of the day, you're filtering out all the negative and you're keeping the positive, right? Those things are things that you have to fight in your mind, and it's gonna come over time. And being young, you know, things come at a later date a lot of times, but at the same time, everybody has a different place. So I would say my biggest thing is to actually learn yourself, learn your purpose. Because when somebody that has a purpose has something to lose. Somebody that doesn't have a purpose, they're going to want to lose it all, even though they have something to lose. And you have to be okay with being in your purpose and understanding that your purpose might not be what you want, but it's exactly what you need to do. And going off of that, y'all, man, I've been excited. This has been an amazing episode, and I hope that this continues as the story unfolds.